Today, you'll be receiving from a message full of God's power to help you become everything that God has created you to be. You know, God sent his son, Jesus, to die for you to have a life of abundance and for you to be an ambassador for him. What does that mean? That your life should represent his goodness. It's time to be about it. Tune in today's message and you'll be blessed.
But I want to actually reiterate this again because I love that he said in our time of need, but verse 15 really even kind of furthers that when he says, for we have not a high priest which cannot be touched with the feeling of our infirmities, which means our weaknesses, the attacks that we go through. So the reason why you can go to the throne in your time of need is because what you're going through and how you're feeling is not foreign to him. You ever been around somebody who is just uppity? Anybody here with me tonight? You ever been with somebody who they give off the air like they think they're better than everybody? Like you just want to have a normal conversation and everything always turns out to be them because they have no idea what you're going through, nor do they care. Well, sometimes when we see people that are in an elevated position, especially if you see someone who has more than you have, or you feel like they've done more or whatever, they may look down on the quote unquote average person. You'll hear a lot of people say, don't forget where you came from. Be careful not to become a crab and trying to pull people down. But anyway, I'm not preaching on that tonight. But you know, it's easy to understand that sometimes there are people that can't understand. But it's very easy to look at God and say, there's no way that you can really understand what this feels like. I know what the word says. I know the weapons that I have. I know I know that I can pray and believe God. But in the middle, when I'm walking through that valley of the shadow of death and I'm fighting off and I'm like, Lord, in my weaknesses, you are made strong. That we realize that one of the greatest things that Jesus did, besides dying for us, was actually live on life as a human. He understands. Look at your neighbor and say, he understands. Look at your other neighbor and say, he's not foreign to what you're feeling. It says that we don't have a high priest which can't be touched with the feeling of our infirmities, but was in all points tempted, like as we are, yet without sin. Here's the thing, the devil is a fool. He will try it with everybody. Why is this happening to me? Because the devil is a fool, and he will try it with anybody. The devil knew who Jesus was. He knew he was the Son of God. But yet, even after Jesus came and said, I am the Son of God, he went to continue to attack him. Even though listen, the devil used to live up there with God. He was one of God's right-hand men. And let me say this as well. Again, we don't have a high priest that doesn't get it, that doesn't get what he's asking you to do when he's asking you not to lay down in depression, but come to his throne. His right-hand man betrayed him. And some of you stuck because the people you love betrayed you. Take a number. I don't mean to be insensitive about that. I mean to encourage you. If God in all his perfection had people that could still turn on him, don't let the people that turn their back on you stop you in your tracks. Not only did Satan used to be called Lucifer, who was created by God and made to be these beautiful instruments. And you know, that is the worst kind of, I think, the worst kind of drama that you can go through with people who turn their backs on you. It's worse when the people that are dissing you are the ones who you gave them what they have and that they're using to try and diss you. Satan used his beauty and his instruments and all of that to bedazzle a third of God's people. A third of the angels went with him. A third of the angels went with him. Which is why in this last day and age, especially with technology and everything, I'm going to say this to you now. You cannot afford to follow the crowd. Rightness is not found in the amount of people that agree with this one point, or that agree that the Bible is outdated, or that agree that your time is over. After he said all of that, he said, come boldly. Now here's the thing about boldness, is that another way of talking about boldness is talking about having courage. We're talking about boldness. In order for you to really be bold, there has to be a source for your boldness. There has to be a reason for you to be able to come before the throne boldly. Again, we're talking about in your time of need, when it's not obvious that that's where you want to be. There's so many people, when they fall and when they mess up, they don't show up for church for a long time because they feel like they got to clean themselves up before they can come back. When it's the exact opposite. Christian folks may look at you and say, you don't belong here because we know what you did, or we know what you've gone through, or did y'all just get a divorce, or did this just happen over here? You saying this, you a hypocrite. People may come out with all of that, but God is not saying that. He's saying in your time of need, in your weaknesses, that's when I'm made strong. And if it's in your weaknesses, that means that you can come to him even when you are not living in a perfect sense. And I'm talking to my Bible-believing Christians. You know, sometimes we get caught up and we shut off the anointing of God in our lives with the knowledge that we have. Because you know all the points and you know all the scriptures, and you know today some of you are so convicted that you've even felt discouraged, that you spend all of your time feeling bad and in condemnation about experiencing discouragement instead of running before the throne of grace. See, when you've got that word that's already pre-populated on the inside of you, yes, Satan may throw things at your mind, but it was never meant for you to stand in pride and not be able to lean on your brothers and sisters in the faith and go to the church house where God created to help you walk through this, and go before the throne of God and ask for grace, and not let your pride and what you think you know cut off the very beauty of this thing. For God so loved the world that he gave, not because you knew everything or had everything right. You have to have a source of boldness to really be able to come boldly. And I'm not talking about fakeness. I'm not talking about putting on a performance, because when you're really going through it, a performance is not going to get it done.
I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. I want to invite you to subscribe, as well as visit our website at michelleferguson.org. We have some materials there that can help you as you walk through life, live the life that God created for you. As always, I'm Michelle Ferguson, helping you to discover, develop, and celebrate who God has created you to be. See you next time.